Okay. Namaskar. This is, I think, for the second time that I am indeed an honor to talk to you. We were in Elk Grove, now we moved to Arlington Heights. That's the only difference, but the state was the same, Eleanor. Priyam, this 2024, when we talk about the journey of 2024, I must say that because the two democracies are going for poll. One is the Bharat, and which is the largest democracy, and the second one is United States of America, which will be happening here in November. What we are noticing, I was in Bharat for almost 3 months. We saw what happened in January 22nd. The book that you have got this, what is as a threat was no Congress.
What if there was no Congress?
Yeah, so I mean, everybody started knowing it. Earlier, it was not, it was hidden. But now we are living in an era where things are happening in Bharat on Wednesday and people are watching that on Tuesday, right? So we talk about this era. So nothing can be, means even the things which was archives, which was there at the Jawaharlal Nehru's time, we are getting to know. And people are getting to know about the facts that how they were fooled actually over a period of time. And voting two phases already been over. 2 phase already been over. 5 more to go. And June 4th, as this government, whosoever comes, takes oath, I'm now going to use that. So let's talk, like, since you've been there back home, the pulse that I felt, I will share that with you. But what was the need for you to bring out this book? Let me be very honest.
So, like you said, that a lot of this information was kept hidden. It was kept deliberately hidden. The past government before 2014, the Congress had consecutive governments ever since independence, and they created an entire ecosystem of writers, scholars, academicians, journalists who would write and rewrite history which served the interests of the Nehru Gandhi family. That is the first family of the Congress party. Since 2014, that has changed. And a lot of this kind of nationalist writing, the actual real history of the country post independence, all of that is slowly coming out. So, this was an attempt to bring out the political history of the country. Also, I wanted to clarify that even today, the national security issues that Bharat faces, the origins can be traced back
Yes.
to Pandit Nehru's time,
1947,
yes,
right after the partition,
absolutely,
to be very
or
honest.
Indira Ji's time. The Khalistan issue you can find traces back to Indira Ji's time,
Yes.
and Rajiv Gandhi's time. So all of these issues have origins in Congress government. So which is what I wanted to clarify via legitimate research, which is why I brought out the book.
You did mention, I'm going to say actually it was not even the 1947. We can go back 2 years before 1945 when the transfer of power was to be, the arrangements, how it was to be done. Because earlier the movies which used to come from Bollywood, means like in the late, after 70s to be honest, just dancing around the trees and all, we were not knowing because that's a audio visual media which is very, very powerful, could bring. But we have seen from last, I think, 5 years or 4 years that we could see that, like starting from Kashmir files, this weekend that we had Rajakars which got realized, and so many more, means Veer Savarkar and Kerala files. It's going on and on and on. What we saw in the state of Karnataka, which is very recent, and there will be protest all over about the Neha thing. So coming back, when you took this pledge, what all did you face? Like, I'm going to ask you, because now you are a name, I mean, like, and then our own people don't come to protect us. That is another thing.
So very early I realized that I need to stop reading the comment section on my videos, and I need to stop reading personal messages that I get on social media, because if I read them, they're very scary. They're usually threats from some kind of radical elements. But I found that they're empty threats. They're just on digital media and hollow threats. So so I do feel that we get a lot of people attack Bharat that this is not a democracy, media doesn't have freedom, etc., etc. But no, people who write any kind of views are very free to write those views. They are safe, they are protected, nothing happens to them, and I don't think that that was possible in the Congress government. If anybody wrote anything against a Congress prime minister, they were debarred from society. They wouldn't be able to find a job. They wouldn't be able to keep their employment.
Kishore Kumar during emergency time. Can
Yeah,
you imagine
there you
that? We
go.
remember that.
So many newspaper outlets were shut down during the emergency time
Yeah.
because they were not willing to bend as per the prime minister.
Coming back to, as you mentioned about, we said let's compare the two democracies since you travel a lot here also. And we are seeing what's happening in the colleges here, in the schools. Means it started from Columbia. And it's the same thing what happened in Tukre Tukre, Azadi from JNU, and it moved to now the United States. And at that very time, US was very vocal. All those big, means like a publication starting from Washington Post, New York Times, it used to be headlines that there's no democracy in Bharat and all. But everyone is now, all those headlines can be replaced by United States of America.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Just last weekend, we saw the United States government using police force against students because to calm down the protests in the universities. If the same picture was from India, India would have faced so many attacks that the government is so harsh on the students and they're not listening to the students. So do the same rules of democracy not apply everywhere?
Coming back to this book itself, what is the very important chapter for Priya, and how long it took you to put this pen it down?
So this took me about a year to pen it down, but a lot of research. I think the most important aspects of this book, one will find how much land of Bharat's was just given away, be it to China, be it to Pakistan, even in the liberation war. Another flag was unfurled versus unfurling Bharat's flag on a territory that was first originally Bharat's. So many, islands were just given away by Panditji. So my blood used to boil when I was writing these sections of how unprepared our army used to be under Panditji's time because he didn't believe in empowering our armed forces.
And that's very recent too. What you talk about Panditji, that was almost like a 40, 50 years ago. Because the army and the services people didn't have a proper uniform, to be very honest.
Yes, yes.
And this happened like self-sufficient when we
Yes,
talk about.
absolutely. In just before the 62 war, where we lost about all of our Aksai Chin, and the area of Arunachal still remains contested. Even today, China claims that part of the border area in Arunachal is theirs. All of that has roots in the 62 war. When Chinese officials came to India, the armed forces officials, in the 62 war, Panditji ordered our armed forces, the Indian armed forces, to show them everything. Show them all our weapons. Show them all that we have. Why? So it really brings that question to mind that who was this loyalty for? Was it for Bharat or was it for China?
And same happens for Pakistan also. Let's talk about Mahatma Gandhi's role in means like giving money and talking about the corridor that they wanted to make from east to west. Everything you see, it's coming now means in picture, and it is becoming a two-way mirror. And when even going to 1971 war, Bangladesh, we helped them. But what is happening today? This is
It is a slow poison for our country. So many, illegal migrants just coming across the border through Myanmar, and they're slowly changing the demography of Bharat. And this is really slow poison for our country because we have to work towards building resources for citizens of our country.
Absolutely.
The jobs should go to the citizens of our country. Employment opportunity should go to the citizens of our country. Government benefits and schemes should go to the citizens of our country, not to those who come illegally across the border.
Absolutely. And on a concluding note, when we talk about this, they have been capturing from all walks of life. Let this be land. We are seeing it, the Waqf board, what they have done it and how it was given to them. And then this is called a secular. Even if I'm just talking the word which has been added, Bharat is still not a secular nation, because when in the same nation that you have laws for to different religion on a different aspect.
Well, honestly, because Bharat is a Sanatan secular nation grounded in Sanatan principles, is it that we allow religions of all faiths to practice their religions as they wish, as peacefully as they want to, without any kind of interruptions. But look at other countries that have a certain majority of a certain religion. Do they allow any other religions to practice their religions? No, they don't. So, I mean, it is because we are so secular that we believe that God is everywhere and there's just one God. You can worship God however you want, which is why we do not interrupt any other religious practices.
Thank you so much for sharing the journey about this book. Anything important that you really want to talk about and where people can go and get this book?
I think the youth of the country that has not seen Bharat under the Congress leadership needs to realize that what they watch on TV, what they read today in the news is just eyewash. They need to really read articles, and they need to read the history behind some of
Education more.
yes, educate themselves a little bit more and understand what a Congress ruled Bharat is, and whether then you would want it or not, and make that decision when they go to the polling booth.
I just talked to, I'm just going to conclude with this, and they say now they have changed the education policy also, where they've included the names of, like, you're still glorifying Aurangzeb and this and that, but like that's what the history we studied, which was not true history, to be honest. And China being ruled by Japan, the first thing they did when they got eradicated with all, like, their signs, like, and that is what Bharat should have done it in the previous government, which is called the Congress, to be honest, in 1947 onwards. Thanks for sharing your time with us.
You,
We
Vandana.
really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.